ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon.
Everyone, welcome to the Roundtable. My name is Robert Bannon. You're watching us on Broadway World or listening to us on the Broadway Podcast Network. I'm so excited. I'm in a classroom. There are books here. And, in a classroom where there are books, inevitably in every school, there's the Hungry Caterpillar. In every school, the bells ring. In every school, there's the Hungry Caterpillar. In every school, you have kids who love, if it's Winnie the Pooh or Sesame Street. I've seen Jonathan's work. I've been over to his theater. I have a picture with the Sesame Street cast and everything. And I'm so excited that the Hungry Caterpillar is available and you need to get your tickets. Take your kids, your adults, your partner, whatever you got. Jonathan Rockefeller is a genius at putting these books to life. Welcome to the Roundtable.
Thanks for having me. I'm not sure I need to say anything after that intro.
That's it. Just buy your tickets and have a good night. Goodbye. HungryCaterpillarShow.com. Jonathan, you are an actor and a writer and director, producer. You sweep the floor, you pop the popcorn, you sell the concessions. I'm impressed by what you do. How did it all start for you?
Well, the one thing I'm not an actor. So I never pretend to act. I'm not an actor. But this show came about because 11 years ago, I was reading to my little nephew, the Very Hungry Caterpillar, and I thought this would be an amazing stage show. And it was an inspired idea, and of course he loves the books. All my nephews love the books, and it was a thought about how do you bring to life these wonderful books by Eric Carle to the stage. And the only answer that really is puppets. And the reason for that is Eric Carle's illustrations are so evocative. We all know what they look like. They're so beautiful. They're so identifiable. You can't have a person dressed as that animal to be able to bring it to life in that way. So puppets were the answer, and that's how that show gradually came about.
Which, when you're watching it right now, everybody, it's 4 of Eric Carle's stories, and it's 75 puppets. And I mean, they are gorgeous and giant and lifelike. And what I love about this, I've taken my godson and my goddaughter to some of your shows in the past. What I love about them is they're professional and entertaining for everyone, but they're the perfect amount of stimulation and time that I promise you your kids are going to be fixated. And because I've seen, Jonathan, some shows where you don't hold the attention, but your shows hold everyone's attention. They're really great.
Yeah, I mean, the genius of that is Eric Carle to begin with. He knew how to hold kids' attention and to get them interested in books. But apart from that, the advantage of telling 4 Eric Carle stories with 75 puppets means on average you're seeing a new puppet on stage every 50 seconds. So there isn't really room to get bored. But also I think that it really comes down to there's no screens in this. There's no screen time. And I think that we all lose sight of how to actually entertain ourselves when we're given something entertaining, when we're not trying to do 2 things at once.
Absolutely. So get your tickets. I'm curious because you have worked, your production company, Rockefeller Productions, has worked with some very big properties, some very big companies. If it's Sesame Street, if it's Disney, if it's Eric Carle. So how do you go about something like this? Eric Carle, this copyright and this piece is, I'm sure, highly guarded by his organization and family and everything that is run. Same with some of the other properties you work with. So how do you get to be the person who they trust with their babies?
Well, the great thing about Eric Carle, and it was the first show that we did in this context, was we approached Eric himself. Eric played a good hand in helping develop this show. He was very, very generous in letting me rummage through his archives and look at all his original illustrations and all that sort of thing. So he played a big role in this, and he was so generous in spirit as part of that too. Our role in this was really to fill in the gaps between the pages, to work out how it came to life on stage. And I think the show speaks for itself. It's a really engaging, entertaining show for kids to come and watch, for parents to enjoy with their kids and watch their kids experience theater for the first time. And the other ones that you mentioned, Sesame Street and Disney's Winnie the Pooh and Paddington Bear and a couple of others that we worked on, they really came about from people seeing how we work. You see this thing on the stage, that you see that we can be trusted with an IP like that. And for us, it's always about the core. What is the essence of the story? What is that feeling as a kid of experiencing this for the first time? And that's what we always try and energize our shows with, to go, what is the nature of discovery? And what am I feeling if I'm a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old? How would it be better if I'm that? And it's really looking at from their eyes as compared to us trying to talk down to them or teach them. Their imaginations are much more wonderful than we think.
I can tell you that firsthand as an elementary school teacher, how important it is, and how important it is to get kids motivated to read. And sometimes we're motivating them to read through television or through videos, but to go to a live event and see their characters come to life is a very impressionable thing for young elementary school children, your children. And it's perfect for the holidays as we gear up for we need to make sure. See, my principal is up here talking about, you better read a book right now after school, as the holidays come about. And I love the space that you all have taken over, that you all take over there on New 42nd Street Studios. They know how to handle kids. They know how to make comfortable seats. There is not a bad seat in the house. So no matter where you sit, your kids will have, there's nothing worse, Jonathan, than you drag your kids to New York City to see a show and then they can't see. Or
I agree. And that's always been part of our philosophy. When you go to those big arena shows and you see this microscopic thing on stage, it's so impersonal. And I think that one of the things that we've always tried to do is it has to be a personal experience. It has to be like so tactile that you have to feel and experience it and want to go and play at home and read books. So that's what is part of the joy of what we do.
So your performance schedule in New York is perfect for families. It's Fridays at 11 and Saturdays there's 4 shows and Sundays at 4 shows. What was it like when you worked with your team to try to make this as accessible, and your pricing? The pricing is very fair, and it's impossible. You can't even go to the movies with 4 people anymore. So you never mind a full on Broadway show in the middle of New York City. So what did you do to make this accessible for people in terms of time and financially?
Well, I think generally it's common sense. I mean, it's understanding parents, it's understanding grandma, it's understanding the neighbors to take the kids. You're going to go as a group as four of maybe 3, 4, 5, and you want to bring extras. And so it's making it really accessible for that reason. The show itself is accessible. We're making sure that every single one is sensory friendly. So nothing is too loud, too abrupt, So we're really constructing it from the inside out to go, how can this show really genuinely really be for everyone? Not just speaking about it, but it actually is.
And you can get your VIP tickets as well if you want to take a photo with the Hungry Caterpillar afterwards, and then you automatically can get your plush, so you don't have to hear, when you go to the souvenir stand, you can have it already ordered in advance, get the picture, meet the star of the show, get your souvenir, and get the best seats and go home. You can get all of that information at hungrycaterpillarshow.com. You have this show not just in New York, though. You guys take this on the road.
We take it on the road. We have 10 productions of this show around the world. So simultaneous to playing in New York, we're also playing in China, in Japan, in the United Kingdom, in Australia. So Canada. It is really wonderful to see that this show is so universally loved, just like Eric Carle's books. And it's just tremendous to see, and it's been running now for 10 years. So it's just great that so many people continue to love Eric Carle's work.
Absolutely. So as you go to the website, you'll also be able to go and see the other productions. So if you're somebody who is not locally in the New York City area, if you're around the world, you can absolutely see it. What's it like for you when you go back after 10 years and helping put this together? When you see this show as adults, there's magic in it, and then you get to see it through the eyes of the children who get to see it.
You know what's really cool is I met a 15-year-old the other day who came up to me and said, "I've seen your show." And I'm like, "Okay, that's great. Did you were you there with your little brother or something?" He's like, "No, I saw it 3 times growing up." And so it's really cool to see how kids have responded to it, and it's a core memory that is really, really stuck to them. So I think that that's really something wonderful that we're able to do, is introduce kids to the theater for the first time.
So when you start to work on, are you always thinking of ideas? How do you come up with ideas? What makes you think like, hey, let's do that? And you've written other shows. You've worked on these shows. These are not just Jonathan. You don't give yourself enough credit. I know we give Eric Carle. I give him a lot of credit. I grew up with him, but you really take these pages and make them come to life. A still image on a page, art, and make it into a full experience.
Well, every single show that you work on is a community experience. I mean, we've got a tremendous group of builders who build all the puppets. I've got some longtime collaborators who work on all the music. Nate Edmondson is one of them. It's a real sort of core community that we have built over the years as part of that. And a lot of our performers have been in the show before too. So they may have performed in the show 3 years ago, or they may have performed interstate in the Los Angeles version or the Chicago version. So it is really wonderful to see not just the audience that is cultivated, but also the people behind the stage as well.
I'm having technical difficulties, but I think I'm back, and I think I might be able to hear you. And I'm thinking we're gonna have to definitely edit. Okay, do you hear me now?
I can, yes.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm so sorry. I moved because I saw it literally. We were going downhill fast here. The life of the school, Jonathan. That's why we need you. Because by the weekend, we're all tired of the kids. We need a break. We need to spend an hour away and let you entertain them and go bring them to see some theater. Do you work with a team? Tell us about the team, especially the creative team, because the puppets look so good. The puppets look like they're such, the set is so gorgeous. It's so creative and it's so eye-popping with the color and with what you do. What do you do with that?
It's just a joy. I mean, we've got a team of builders who we have in-house that we are constantly building Eric Carle puppets for all our shows around the world. And so often we will decide to bring in a new story. So we'll start from scratch. We'll open up the book, go, how do we start telling these stories? What do these puppets need to do? One thing that we do when we look at different puppet designs is go, what does this puppet need to do really, really well? And Eric, in his stories, often he gives each character a singular purpose to do something well. And an example of that is his story of Head to Toe, that the buffalo shrugs his shoulders, that the crocodile wiggles its hips. And so we have to then go, when we're constructing this particular puppet, this is what this animal needs to do and needs to be really, really effective what to do, simultaneously to looking exactly like the illustration. So that is the fun and joy of building Eric Carle puppets. And we constantly get to keep the show fresh, because one of the things that we do, apart from telling the Hungry Caterpillar story all the time, is we mix up what stories we're telling with that. So you get to see 3 other Eric Carle stories, and later in the year you'll be able to see the holiday version of the show, and we'll be putting in Dream Snow and a lot of holiday themed stories as part of that too. So even if you get to see it now, which I implore you to do, you will get to come back later in the year and see different stories if you really, really love it.
Well, I'm looking forward to that, because I need people to know that when you're looking for something fun to do as the weather changes and you can't be outside and you need to get some energy, it's the perfect idea to send your kids. And then you could take them this fall, and then you could take them again over the holiday break, when I know that people are looking for something to do with their little kiddos, for sure. A lot of the times, Jonathan, your shows are people's first introduction to theater. They get to come and see your shows for the first time, which is such a beautiful part of a legacy to have as future theater patrons and people who love the arts. You're creating the next generation of theater goers.
Yeah, I think that that's an honor and a privilege. I think that the wonderful thing that we can do is to make sure that the first experience is engaging, but also, even if you're a seasoned professional, you want to introduce someone else to the theater, this is the avenues to do it. Bring them to one of our shows, bring them to one of the great shows at the New Vic. This is how you get fans for life. But it's not just about introducing kids to the theater. For us, it's about literacy. It's about encouraging people to be creative, encouraging you to paint, encouraging you to read, and giving you something that isn't just a computer screen to look at.